Another startup failed. Mom's voice dripped with disdain as she stirred her coffee at our weekly Sunday brunch. The elegant cafe was her choice. She loved being seen here with her designer handbag and perfect manicure, symbols of her successful corporate life. I picked at my avocado toast, trying to maintain my composure. At 27, I'd spent the last 5 years building my tech company in stealth mode, living modestly and reinvesting every penny. Mom, a senior account manager at Maxwell Industries, saw only what I allowed her to see, a daughter who couldn't hold down a real job. No, Mom. The startup's doing fine. She scoffed, setting down her spoon with a sharp clink. Fine? Living in that tiny apartment, driving that old car? When will you grow up and get a real job like I have? Maxwell Industries is always hiring entry-level positions. If only she knew that my tiny apartment was actually the penthouse of the building I owned, and that old car was just for keeping up appearances. My real car collection sat in a private garage across town. Actually, Mom, I have some news. I started, but she cut me off. I already know what you're going to say. Another one of your innovative ideas that's going nowhere. Meanwhile, I just got promoted to regional director. Now that's real success. I bit my tongue knowing that tomorrow everything would change. The papers were signed, the deals were done, and in less than 24 hours, Maxwell Industries would have a new owner. You know, she continued, waving to some of her work friends across the cafe, Janet's daughter just started at Maxwell. Entry-level, of course, but at least she's on a real career path. I could put in a word for you. Mom, I don't need dash. Don't be proud, Alexandra. Pride doesn't pay bills. Stop playing entrepreneur and get a real job. This little game of yours has gone on long enough. My phone buzzed, a message from my CFO. Final checks complete. All systems go for tomorrow's announcement. Mom noticed my smile. Another one of your business meetings, she mocked. In that shabby outfit? I glanced down at my deliberately modest clothes. My shabby outfit was actually a hand-tailored Brunello Cucinelli piece that cost more than her monthly salary, but its subtle luxury wasn't obvious to status-obsessed people like her. You know what your problem is? She leaned forward, lowering her voice. You're afraid of real work. Real responsibility. At Maxwell, I manage 50 people. I make decisions that matter. What do? Play with your little computer programs. If she only knew that my little computer programs had revolutionized supply chain management and caught the attention of every major corporation in the country, including her precious Maxwell Industries. Mom, tomorrow dash. No, I don't want to hear about tomorrow. I want to hear that you're finally ready to grow up. Maxwell has an opening in the mailroom. It's not much, but it's a start. A real job with real benefits. I checked my watch. In exactly 18 hours, the press release would go live. Tech giant Shadow Systems acquires Maxwell Industries in historic $4.2 billion deal. What Mom didn't know was that Shadow Systems was my company. That, playing with computer programs, had built one of the most valuable private tech companies in the country. And tomorrow, her precious Maxwell Industries would become just another subsidiary in my corporate empire. You're right, Mom, I said quietly, standing up. Tomorrow is all about real jobs and real responsibility. She beamed, probably thinking I was finally seeing things her way. So you'll take the mailroom position? No, I smiled, dropping $100 bill on the table. But I will see you at the office tomorrow. There's an important company-wide meeting at 9 a.m. Don't be late. How do you know about that? That meeting is for executives only. Trust me, Mom. You don't want to miss this one. As I walked out of the cafe, I heard her calling after me about the mailroom position. Little did she know by this time tomorrow she'd be calling me something very different. Monday morning, I stood in the executive bathroom of Maxwell Industries, finally dressed the way I normally did, a perfectly tailored Chanel suit, Louboutin heels, and the diamond earrings I'd bought after my first billion. My shabby disguise was finally coming off. My phone buzzed with messages from Mom. The mailroom supervisor is expecting you at 8:30. Don't embarrass me. I smiled at my reflection. The press release had just gone live and the business world was exploding. Tech prodigy Alexandra Chen reveals identity as Shadow Systems CEO in Maxwell Industries acquisition. The building was buzzing with nervous energy. Employees huddled in corners, whispering about the acquisition. Nobody knew what to expect from their mysterious new owner. At 8:55, I stepped onto the executive floor where Mom worked. Her office door was open and I could hear her bragging to colleagues. My daughter's finally seeing sense. Starting in the mailroom today. Sometimes tough love is what they need. Miss Chen, my CFO approached, deliberately speaking loudly enough to be heard. Everything is ready for the announcement. The board is waiting in the main conference room. Mom's head snapped up at the familiar voice, but she didn't recognize me at first in my CEO attire. Excuse me, this is the executive floor. The mailroom is dash. She froze mid-sentence as I turned to face her. The coffee cup she was holding slipped from her fingers, shattering on the floor. Alexandra. Good morning, Mom. Or should I say, employee? The color drained from her face as her colleagues started pulling up the breaking news on their phones. Whispers spread like wildfire. That's Alexandra Chen. Shadow Systems have bought the company. Her mother works here. This is a joke, Mom stammered. You can't be. Her manager, Mr. Peterson, came rushing down the hallway. Ma'am, he called out to me, your acquisition team needs you to sign some final documents. Thank you, James, I replied calmly. I'll be there shortly. Mom's legs gave out and she sank into her chair. You own Shadow Systems? Yes. And as of 9 a.m. this morning, Maxwell Industries too. I checked my watch. Speaking of which, there's a company-wide meeting in 5 minutes. Shall we walk together, Mom? The conference room was packed. Every senior executive, board member, and department head was present. Mom followed me in, still in shock as I took my place at the head of the table. Good morning, everyone, I began. I'm Alexandra Chen, CEO of Shadow Systems and your new owner. Some of you may know me as Margaret Chen's daughter. I paused, looking at Mom. Though apparently, I'm also the new mailroom hire. Nervous laughter rippled through the room. Mom shrank in her seat. Let's talk about changes. First, our technology integration will begin immediately. Second, we'll be reviewing all management positions. I met Mom's eyes. Particularly those where promotion was based on politics rather than performance. You can't do this, Mom whispered. Actually, I can. You see, Mom, while you thought I was playing entrepreneur, I was building the future. Those little computer programs you mocked? They're worth more than this entire company. I pulled up our new organizational chart on the screen. As you can see, we're flattening the hierarchy. Regional director positions are being eliminated. Mom's face went pale. Her precious title gone in an instant. But don't worry, I continued. Everyone will have the opportunity to prove their worth. Based on merit, not networking skills or designer handbags. The meeting continued as I outlined our vision for the future. Mom sat there, silent and stunned as her world turned upside down. The daughter she'd dismissed as a failure was now signing her paychecks. As the executives filed out later, Mom remained in her chair, staring at nothing. By the way, I said, gathering my papers, about that mailroom position, I think I'll pass. The next few weeks transformed Maxwell Industries completely. The old mahogany-lined executive offices were converted into an open workspace filled with cutting-edge technology. Mom's precious corner office, the one she'd bragged about at every family gathering, became part of our new innovation lab. I was in a strategy meeting when my assistant buzzed in. Miss Chen, your mother is here. Again. This was her third attempt this week. After the initial shock wore off, she'd cycled through anger, bargaining, and now apparently reconciliation. Send her in. Mom entered, clutching her designer bag like a shield. Gone was the arrogant strut of the regional director. Now she moved uncertainly like someone in an unfamiliar country. Alexandra, can we talk? I gestured to the chair across from my desk. The floor-to-ceiling windows behind me offered a view of the city she'd always bragged about working in, a city where I now owned half the skyline. I've been doing some thinking, she began, smoothing her skirt nervously, about everything you said about merit-based promotions. Mom, I cut her off, if you're here to argue about your demotion, the decision is final. The audit showed your department had the highest turnover rate and lowest productivity scores in the company's history. But I have 20 years of experience. Experience in what? Taking long lunches? Promoting your friends' children? The new system doesn't care about your country club memberships or who you play golf with. She flinched. I don't understand. Why didn't you tell me? Tell you what? That I was building something revolutionary? Hi, Mom. Every Sunday brunch for 5 years I tried. But you were too busy mocking my choices to listen. I was trying to protect you. No, I said firmly, you were trying to control me. To force me into your definition of success. Corner office, designer clothes, social status. That was your dream, not mine. My phone buzzed. The stock price had jumped another 15% since the acquisition. Mom's eyes widened as she saw the numbers on my screen. Is that our market value? Yes. Your unsuccessful daughter just added another billion to her net worth this morning. She slumped in her chair. I feel so foolish. You should. I pulled out a file. But this isn't about revenge. It's about transformation. Here's your new assignment. She opened the file cautiously. Entry-level tech training? Everyone in the company is required to understand our systems. Even former regional directors. Especially them. You start Monday along with all the other managers who needed this wake-up call. But I'll be in classes with people half my age. People half your age who probably know twice as much about modern business. It's your choice, Mom. Learn and grow or find another job. Though, I smiled slightly, you might find it difficult to get hired after being demoted by your own daughter. Tears welled in her eyes. I was wrong about you. So wrong. Yes, you were. But here's the thing about real entrepreneurs, Mom. We don't succeed to prove others wrong. We succeed because we believe in something bigger than ourselves. I stood up, signaling the end of our meeting. Your instructor on Monday will be Kevin. You know, the computer nerd you rejected for a management position last year? He's now our head of innovation. Try to keep up. As she turned to leave, I added, oh, and Mom? That shabby apartment you always criticized? It's the penthouse. I own the building. Just like I own this one. And several others you used to brag about working in. He paused at the door. All this time, you let me believe. I let you see what you wanted to see. You wanted a failure to feel superior to. I gave you that while I built an empire. Ironic, isn't it? After she left, I looked out over the city. My phone buzzed with messages from the tech training department. Enrollment was up, productivity was rising, and the old guard was finally learning what real innovation meant. Sometimes the best lessons come from those we underestimate. And sometimes success isn't about proving others wrong, it's about proving yourself right. I picked up my phone to check the afternoon schedule. The company-wide digital transformation meeting was about to start. I wondered if Mom would finally understand that while she was climbing the corporate ladder, I had built my own tower. And from up here, those corner offices she coveted looked very, very small.